scores! Stutzla, one-timer, scores!
Great save made by Gustafsson.
Right here, what an awesome pass through the slot, onto the stick of Batherson.
Tkachuk in tight open skate, got it, scores! Brady Tkachuk wins it in overtime for Ottawa.
First time as your captain, number 7, Brady Tkachuk.
Welcome to SENS Talk. My name is Brandon, and I'm your host. Now, before we get started, please follow us on Twitter at SensTalk_, and on Instagram at SENS Talk as well. Go to SeatGeek.com and use promo code SENS Talk. You'll save $20 off your first purchase. Take advantage of this great deal today because you get to go to a game, like a SENS game, for example, for a much cheaper price, while also helping us out here financially. So it's a win-win for both of us. So take advantage of that great deal today. Now, speaking of today is the first game in the history of the Ottawa Senators with Brady Tkachuk as the captain. As yesterday, Brady Tkachuk was announced as the 10th captain in the history of the Ottawa Senators. Frank the Tank, baby. Fired up. Brady Tkachuk, it's the obvious choice. He clearly loves the city. He just committed to staying in the city for 7 years, for a good price, of course, $8.2 million, but he just committed for 7 years. He clearly loves the city. The boys in the locker room, the guys in the locker room, everyone in the organization clearly loves Brady Tkachuk. He's clearly the leader in that locker room, too. And most importantly, he's the most beloved player by all Ottawa Senator fans. So, Brady Tkachuk is a clear and, most importantly, perfect choice for the captaincy of the Ottawa Senators. He's the face of the franchise. And Captain Tkachuk, it feels good, baby. And, Captain Tkachuk's first game as captain of the Ottawa Senators is in game number 11 on the season, paying a little homage to former Senator legend Daniel Alfredsson, the former captain right there. And game number 11 is Brady Tkachuk's first game as the captain. So besides that, let's discuss some of the roster changes for today's game against Tampa Bay, because let's just say DJ Smith put the lines in a blender. So let's discuss the roster changes. Firstly, Austin Watson was put into COVID-19 protocol. He will be out for the next 10 games. Because of this, Logan Shaw draws back into the lineup. Tyler Ennis as well is dealing with an illness, non-COVID related illness, however. So Parker Kelly was called up, and he'll be put into the lineup for today's game against Tampa Bay. Now, like I mentioned or alluded to like 10 seconds ago, head coach DJ Smith really put the lines and pairings into a blender for today's game against Tampa Bay. So here are what the lines and pairings look like. The first line of Tkachuk, Norris, and Batherson, it's the same. That's our best line by far. Those are our best offensive players. The second line, Formenton, Paul, and Brown. We've seen that line a little bit the last couple games, but they're sticking together. The third line is Stutzla, Turney, and Parker Kelly. I like Parker Kelly on the third line. I like what he has to give. Good energy. However, I would love to see Tim Stutzla promoted to the second line. If you really want to get Tim Stutzla scoring and producing again, you got to put him with better playmakers. And then the fourth line of Sanford, Gambrell, and Shaw. Shaw got a goal tonight. Dylan Gambrell looks solid, and Sanford, typical fourth line players. As long as they eat their minutes and don't become a nuisance out there, I'm okay with them. The pairings of Shabbat and Zaitsev, we'll talk about them later. Shabbat and Zaitsev actually had a really good game together. The second pairing of Mete and Zub, and then the third pairing, Holden and Brown, were the other pairings to round up the lineup. And then, of course, Matt Murray started tonight against Tampa Bay. So today's starters were Matt Murray for Ottawa and Brian Elliott for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, this is the second game in a row where Ottawa is facing a former goaltender of theirs. Robin Leonard started last game against Ottawa for Vegas, and tonight for Tampa Bay, of course, it's Brian Elliott. Now, both goalies starting tonight for, obviously, Tampa Bay and Ottawa. Matt Murray and Brian Elliott, they both had save percentages below 900 going into today's game. So it's needless to say, there may be a lot of goals in today's game between the two teams. Now, speaking of goals, let's get to the goals. To the first period we go, where a questionable call gives Tampa Bay a power play. And on that power play, Victor Hedman, the Norris Trophy winner from the point, hammers it off Josh Brown and in, glove side past Matt Murray to give the Tampa Bay Lightning the 1-0 lead. Now, Ottawa, after that goal, frankly, played way better, and I mean way better than Tampa Tampa Bay. They really dominated. However, they couldn't get a goal. Let's go to the second period of play where early in, Connor Brown does a great job on the end of the blue line on the boards, blocks or locks the pass from a Tampa Bay blue liner. He steals the puck, fakes the pass, then shoots a glove side pass to former Senator Brian Elliott to tie things up at 1 apiece for Ottawa. However, after that, Tampa Bay really got things going, got a lot of great chances on Matt Murray. He made some big stops. He was fantastic today. And then after a face-off loss, Holden and Josh Brown get caught on the right hash mark side, with Formenton leaving a lane open for Rudu to receive a pass. He rips a glove side past Matt Murray to give the Lightning the lead once again. It's a 2-1 game. And after that, Tampa Bay continued to dominate. Matt Murray made a couple big breakaway stops. He looked really positionally sound today, to be quite honest with you. Glove too. He had a couple goals go glove side, which is normal for Matt Murray, unfortunately. But overall, his glove hand looked really good today. Made a few huge stops with that glove hand. And with a minute to go in the period, Drake Batherson, easily Ottawa's best offensive player right now, threads the needle with a saucer pass right to Brady Tkachuk, who puts it home in his first game as a Sander captain. The captain, Brady Tkachuk, ties it at 2, and we go to the third period of play with Ottawa tied with the defending Stanley Cup champions, and the crowd absolutely lost their mind with that goal from Brady Tkachuk. He was clearly fired up, as you saw there on that replay, and I got goosebumps for at least 5 minutes after that goal. It's nice to say the captain scored for your Ottawa Senators, that one being from Brady Tkachuk, his third of the year, and Ottawa's going to the third period of play tied at 2. So we head into the third period of play where Ottawa gets some good chances early on. However, Tampa Bay gets the best of those chances because 5 to 7 minutes into the third period of play, after a bad line change by Ottawa, Alex Killorn takes a shot that Matt Murray stops, but the rebound is right to Steven Stamkos, who pounces on it to make it a 3-2 game for Tampa Bay, as once again the Sanders allow a goal for like the 11th game in a row now where they blew a defensive coverage in front of the net. This one being on Victor Mete. You got to clear that puck. He does not. Stamkos, the captain for Tampa Bay, pounces on it, and Tampa Bay once again leads. It's 3-2. Now we move on to a few minutes left in the third period of play. Ottawa got a couple of nice chances before this moment, but there's no better chance than this one from Nick Paul. With a few minutes left in the game, Nick Paul on a big rebound from Brian Elliott backhands it off the crossbar, and the whole barn, the Canadian Tire Center fans, the faithful there, stand on their feet. The goal horn goes off. Everyone thinks it's a goal. It's no goal. And then a few moments later, Batherson is too deep into the offensive zone for Tampa Bay, leaving an odd man rush for Tampa Bay. And Tim Stützle does not cover the guy on the left side of the ice. He instead covers the guy that Artem Zub is covering, which leaves, I think it was Cirelli all alone, and he put it in 5-hole past Matt Murray. As Tampa Bay is going to take this one 5-3, the final. That was the fourth goal of the game. They ended up getting an empty net goal as well to make it 5-2. Logan Shaw did get a goal in the last 20 seconds for his first as an Ottawa Senator, but the Senators do fall to Tampa Bay 5-3 after a valiant effort in the last few minutes, and they fall to 3-7-1 on the year. Not a great start whatsoever for Sens fans or the Senators as a whole. And if they really want to make the playoffs this year, they got to start winning games, and they need to start winning games now. So let's get into my game notes. I got a lot to say about the performance and more. So today, Ottawa controlled the first period of play, but after that, in the second and third period, Tampa Bay controlled the game. And this is my point, frankly, about this. You may say, so what, Brandon? They lost the game. Of course they lost 2 out of the 3 periods. Here's the problem. That's happening every single game, regardless if Ottawa wins or not, and they have not been winning a lot lately. Regardless if they win or not, Ottawa is having issues stringing together consecutive good periods in a row. And that's on the coaching staff. It's on the coaching staff to fire up the boys during the intermissions. It's on the coaching staff to make those adjustments during the intermissions to continue the positive momentum for the Ottawa Senators and their players. It's on the coaching staff. The players, they need to show up, sure, but it's on the coaching staff to make in-game adjustments, to fire up the boys, and to frankly keep the boys going at the same level for 3 periods in a row. That's not happened once this year. Even in their wins, Ottawa's been outplayed at some point during the game for long periods of time. So for Ottawa, the real problem with them is they're not able to put together strong periods in consecutive manner. They may have a strong first period of play, but then like today, the second and third period, lackluster at best. They may have a terrible first period, they come back in the second period with 4 goals, and then the third period they give it up, just like that Washington game. Ottawa's having a problem this year, playing consecutive strong periods in a row. That's on the coaching staff, and that needs to change now. And another reason why Ottawa is now winless in the last 4 games. They're 0-3-1, and in the last 8 games, 1-6-1. Another reason for that is because of the fact they can't string together good periods of play. You see, like that with that Washington example, for example, they scored those 3 to 4 goals in the second period of play. They lost the game 7-5. Ottawa is not able to consistently score in every single period. If you look at the stats, TSN showed this today, Ottawa's near the bottom, if not at the bottom, of the National Hockey League for goals in the third period of play. So Ottawa needs to find some consistency in their game, and they need to do so fast, because they're now 3-7-1 on the year, and they've lost their, out of the last 8 games, they're 1-6-1. That is not good enough, even for bottom-feeding teams. That needs to change now, and that's on the coaching staff. Because once again, I can say it 1,000 times. You got to make in-game adjustments, and you got to fire up the boys. That's on the coaching staff. The players are there to produce, but at the end of the day, they're not producing, so the coaching staff needs to find the way to get them producing. I also wanted to mention that Chabot and Zaitsev, that pairing, the first pairing for Ottawa today, actually had a really good game. Chabot, of course, one of the best defensemen in the National Hockey League. Not surprisingly, had a really good game as usual. But I want to give a little bit of a shout-out. I may get some heat for this, but I wanted to give a bit of a shout-out to Nikita Zaitsev, who easily had his best game as an Ottawa Senator this season anyways. He did a really good job at clearing the front of the net. A couple of broken-up chances could have resulted in goals. Instead, he cleared the front of the net. I think he looked really steady. Of course, I would have preferred Zub there instead of Zaitsev. I think because Chabot and Zub were one of the best pairings in the National Hockey League. But I understand the reason that they broke the pairings up, and I can see why. Chabot and Zaitsev were pretty stable throughout the game, and that second pairing of Mete and Zub were at the same time pretty stable. Of course, that Stamkos goal to make it 3-2 was on Mete and that pairing as a whole, but overall they looked really steady, and even the Holden-Brown pairing wasn't great, but overall it wasn't much of a crapshoot as it usually is in the Senators' end. So it was a little bit of an improvement. Obviously, I would love to see Chabot and Zub together for the rest of the season. But at the end of the day, DJ Smith has to do what's best for the team to get some wins. And that's also on the Senator management for not acquiring a top 4 or top 6 defenseman to help shore out this roster. Clearly, there's a hole that needs to be addressed. And speaking of that, what needs to be addressed is the fact that Josh Brown is playing way too much. He played 15 minutes tonight. I don't understand why, but he played 15 minutes, and he's not a good player whatsoever. He's better than me in hockey, that's for sure, but if we're talking about the National Hockey League, he's not cutting it. Too many defensive errors every single game. And TSN 1200 reported yesterday that during that Vegas game, the Vegas management were literally shouting in their press box for the Vegas players to dump it into Josh Brown's own corner. So, yeah, clearly the league understands this too. Josh Brown has had a brutal start to the year, and I'm sure he's a decent depth player, but is he a player that can start every single game and play 15 minutes? I don't think so. So I think Michael Rosado should get the start going into next game because Josh Brown is consistently becoming a defensive liability, and it's time to hold players like that accountable instead of playing them for 15 or so minutes. So besides that, let's get to the Sens Talk Star of the Night, voted by you, the fans. The Sens Talk Star of the Night, voted by you, the fans, is the captain, Brady Tkachuk, with just under 49% of the vote. He had a really good game. That first line as a whole of Josh Norris, Drake Batherson, of course, Brady Tkachuk had a solid game. Brady Tkachuk, of course, getting that goal to tie it at 2 apiece to end that second period of play. A magical moment for the next captain of your Ottawa Senators, Brady Tkachuk. Besides that, the next Senator game is on Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time versus the Boston Bruins. So I'll see you all then as well. Heads up, Noah Luden just told me that another episode of Sens Stonks, episode number 2 of season 2, should be out in the next few days. So stay tuned for that. Besides that, thank you all for watching. I appreciate the support as always. Be sure to like this video, share this video for cool stuff, and of course click that big red button down there, make it gray, and subscribe to us. And most importantly of all, turn the notification bell on so you get notified whenever we upload a new video. Besides that, thank you for watching. I appreciate the support. Go Sens go.